Lights, camera, Jasmine. What's up, pioneers? I want it to be heady. It's my channel. I can do what I want. So welcome back. On today's segment of relationships, we are talking about the journey to you, which honestly should probably be reflection, but we'll get to why it should be called reflection. When it comes to friendships, relationships, everything like that, I think the key denominator is going to be ourselves, aka you. And so when it comes to you, the biggest asset of you is knowing yourself. You can't fully operate in a successful fashion, I don't believe, with other people if you don't know yourself very well. And when I say know yourself, let's make this very clear that I'm not talking about you know all of your flaws and weaknesses and you hate yourself and you think that everybody else hates you as a result of that mindset. Because that's not effective or productive, but I get how we get in that space. I was in that space. I couldn't stand myself. Like a few years ago, hated me, totally get it. However, God loves you, and God gives us so much grace and mercy that I'm just so thankful for on a daily, hourly, secondly basis. And we should give ourselves that grace too. And a lot of times when we're in that mental space where we hate ourselves, it's because we're so hard on ourselves and because we have all of these internal voices that are telling us like, oh, well, you did this wrong, or look at all these failed relationships. And to me, failed relationships or even successful relationships, they're all key points to to help you out, to figure you out. I felt like because I had so many failed relationships that I just sucked out and I was bad, forget friends, forget relationships, like I'm gonna just be an island all by myself. Happens, we get there. Or like I said in my last video, no new friends, I don't need no help, I ain't gonna trust nobody. Yeah, all that good stuff. That happens, it happens. It's totally normal, but you can't stay there. The staying there, that's not the normal part. You can't stay there. You cannot stay there. That's when you make that 100% clear. So knowing yourself and getting to know yourself to me requires a lot of reflection. Remembering things from the past, things that might not be so pleasant, people, situations are kind of your roadmap to, okay, I communicate this way with this group of people, this way with this group of people. I could have handled this situation differently, and honestly too, accountability. I don't like accountability. I'm not gonna lie. Responsibility, all that good stuff. I don't like them, but the reality is that I am only responsible for me and how I interacted. And I don't handle every situation 100% perfect. Do I wish I did? Of course I do. I want to be perfect so bad, but I'm not. That's not who I am. That's not who human beings are. Unless you're Jesus Christ, we're not perfect. And so the reality is that there are some relationships that we're gonna fail at, that we're gonna suck at. And honestly too, some of those we were meant to suck at so that we could get an idea. Because some of those too are like God being like, hey sis, either this person ain't for you or you doing something wrong that you need to correct so that you can attract the right people into your life. But we take that so personally as like an attack on our personhood. And it's just like, it's not always about us though. And it feels like it. I know it feels like it. I'm not invalidating that at all, but it's not. If that's the biggest thing that I have learned in my 26 years of life, it is that it is not about me. Just let that marinate. So when it comes to reflection, it's good like key points. So for example, for me, I majorly reflect on my birthday and on New Year's Eve, which honestly there should be a third checkpoint because those are kind of certain far away, but I do reflections every day. You can journal, you can sit down. There's a lot of different ways for you to reflect. Talk to a friend, trusted somebody that you feel like actually knows you. Do not try to reflect with somebody who don't actually know you, don't get you, none of that, because then they're gonna just lead you in the wrong direction of who you are as a person. I'm just saying. I tried that. I've tried a lot of things. Let's not go there. But sit down, reflect with somebody that you trust, ask them some questions, some of those hard questions, and ask yourself hard questions like, who am I? What are the things that I like? What are the things that I don't like? What are the things that have shaped me as a person? What do I struggle with? What's an addiction for me? What's something that's really hard? What's something that's really good? What are the things that I really enjoy in this life and I cherish that I don't want to ever lose? What am I scared of? What am I proud of? What do I do when I'm mad? Do I punch walls? I break pencils. Just, side note. But don't like get to know yourself like you would a friend, because guess what? You are your own friend, and you are the only friend that you have for your whole life, consistently, the whole thing. And I feel like that was the light for me to really embrace who I am, because I could spend the next 50, 60, 70, however long God gives me on this planet hating myself. I could do it. No problem. I could consider myself the most flawed, the most egotistical, whatever in this world, and just stay that way. But guess what? What is that going to solve? What does that do? That means that I get to spend 60, 70 years, 80, 90 years, 100 years miserable because I hate myself. Because I think everybody else hates me because I hate myself. And that's just, I don't know how this little thing works, but what I do know is I don't want to be sitting up here mad and uncomfortable. And I read this book by Don Miguel Ruiz, The Mastery of Love. I recommend that book for self-reflection, journey to yourself, all that good stuff. And he was saying that a lot of times heaven and hell are created in our minds. And it's not saying that there's not heaven or hell, but it's just like literally I was living in hell on earth because of my mindset, because of the negative thoughts and negative beliefs and everything like that. And all I literally had to do was shift and pivot and replace those negative thoughts with positive thoughts. And I'm not in heaven yet, but I'm pretty close. Like, I feel really good about myself. I feel really confident about me. Now, is that constant? No. Do I feel like trash like another 50% of the time? Yes. But that's in your control. You have that power to create heaven or hell in your mind. It's up to you. And guess what? How that plays out in your head is how that's gonna play out with other people. Because I remember being like, oh, I'm awkward, no one's gonna like me. And it's not to say that people didn't. People did, but I could never recognize it because I felt like I was awkward and people didn't like me. Mindset is such a powerful thing, but you don't get there and you don't get that shift if you don't reflect. And again, that's not to say there's anything wrong with it, like, oh, you're a problem. You're not a problem. But we need to create more of that positive thinking, add more of that positive thoughts and situations and things. I remember the good stuff, the good times. We get so saturated with the negative, and it's like, yes, the negative happened. Yes, it sucked. Yes, it hurt. Hurt like a mug. Hurt like a motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? But that wasn't the end all be all, because you're still breathing, you're still here, you're still watching this video, which means there's still time for you to change your fate. So you're gonna live in hell or heaven in your head. I just, would like to know. But back to the main point. Knowing yourself, knowing how you communicate, taking accountability for yourself, taking responsibility for your actions. Honestly, at first it sucks. I'm gonna just be real. It sucks, and you're like, I want to get out of here, Jumanji. Then you realize the power of that, because when you're able to know yourself, take accountability, and take responsibility, then everyone else kind of just becomes extra background characters. So it's like, I know me, so people don't control me. People don't control my emotions. People can't make me mad. Now, some people can, but it's like overall in general, and I'm not going into spaces being like, oh, well, what if so-and-so thinks this about me? You can, because guess what I know about myself? And one of also the greatest ways to getting to know yourself is to run to the Father, because guess what? He's the manufacturer. He made you. And a lot of my problem was that I didn't know the things that God said about me, that he said about us, that he says about his people, that's so important and relevant. And he calls us so many amazing things, but we get so caught up and trapped in our own experiences and negative thinking and negative beliefs about ourselves that we don't let what he says, the manufacturer, penetrate into who we are, into our psyche, into our beliefs, into our thinking, into our everyday life. Because guess what? He calls you redeemed. He calls you beloved. He sent his son to die for you. Like, what a love. What a love. I'm thankful. I'm blessed. And my greatest relationship is him. And then right after that, it's me. And I want us all as pioneers to have a good relationship with ourselves. Because if we don't, we won't have a good relationship with anybody else. And you cannot convince me otherwise. And I would triple dog dare you to show me a person who has a good, successful relationship with other people, but does not have a good, successful relationship with themselves. Because that's not real. And I don't believe that for a second. I'm just saying. The way you talk to yourself matters. The way that you view yourself matters. The things that you think about yourself matters. The people that you have around you matters. And my prayer is that we all have circles where we have safe people, where we have people that we can lean on and depend on, but also people that point us towards Christ and point us towards our true identity, and not this false identity that we tend to create because of our experiences and the people around us. I think that's all I have to say. It felt a little all over the place, but I needed y'all to know. I needed y'all to come kumbaya, because once we get this part situated, then we can go date again. After all this heartbreak, after all my relationships and origin stories, we can go out here in these streets and we can actually attract the people that we want in our lives. Crazy concept, but it can happen. I promise you it can happen. So I will see you guys next week, where we will be talking about dating again. I'll have a special guest, or maybe two, it depends, I don't know, who knows. But I love you guys so much. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.